What do very typical cop tropes, a criminal that eats hearts, and Jacksonville, Florida have in common? Tune in to find out right now. That's right, we found our featured beer. It's going to be Motivations of the Heart, given to us by Untapped user Trash, made by Resident Culture Brewery.
Sick.
We're all ready to get going here. Harrison and I think we know where this movie's going. We definitely know it's going to be in the crime genre, thanks to your overwhelming votes on Instagram and YouTube.
Yes, YouTube. YouTube wins tonight. The YouTube voters over there chose crime, so here we are doing it. Cool. All right, holy crow, let's go make a crime movie.
How hard can that be?
Boop boop a doop.
So crime is definitely one of the main things in this movie.
Well, we said, and we kind of, I think what helped me choose it, because we were all set, this is almost called Rally Point. This was so close to being called Rally Point and being about a Western movie, but I think what made Motivated of the Heart a little more interesting to me was their kind of last version we went through during the Fast Five last episode, where it's about some murderer who's eating people's hearts, and the two cops that are charged with chasing that crazy person down, who would do such a thing. So, and try to unpack that and make a cool, Friday night thriller crime drama.
Yeah, Eating Hearts got my attention. For
yes,
sure.
It does for many.
We haven't touched Cannibal Holocaust yet, and it sounds like we're going to remake it tonight.
Yay! That sounds fun for the whole family.
If you've made it here, you're in for a treat for Motivations of the Heart, as mostly Harrison's brain unpacks what the hell that turns into. But if you want to stay with us, make sure you hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram or even Twitter. We post kind of clips leading up to the next episode there all the time, and ask for your feedback.
Yes. Please give us feedback. Don't be shy. Send us messages. So let's, as we always do, kind of start with the beginning. We try to anyway. The characters, the scene, the setting. I mean, right away, I think some obvious stuff. Let's get it out of the way. We've got a cannibal eating people's hearts. This probably isn't happening in some quaint town in New Jersey. This is probably happening in some big city. Probably doesn't matter which one. We can pick one, though.
Yeah, I think we have to.
Okay.
Initially, I thought L.A. because it seems like a typical crime drama, but I almost like Florida for this. Florida's got... If you're cutting the hearts out of someone and eating them, there's a good chance you've been in Florida
You're
before.
just a guy in Florida.
Yeah, so how about Jacksonville?
Meth is a hell of a drug.
Let's throw Duval County a little bit of love here.
Duval County, I like it. Not a big, city for Florida, I guess. But enough going on there where this makes sense, and a crime like this would absolutely rattle the friggin' city to its core. Not seeing something like this every day. Not that most cities do. Okay, I like this. So we're in Jacksonville. It's hot. It's gross. Everyone's sweating. It's a wet heat, not a dry heat.
The worst kind.
Nobody says that. They just say humid, Harrison. Nobody calls it a wet heat.
It's a wet heat down here.
They should start. Humid's gross. Wet heat's not. So, okay, we're in Florida. I think we should do two cop partners, guy and a girl. Let's mix it up.
So you want to tell it from the perspective of the police, who are usually involved in crimes on one side or the other.
Yes.
Let's tell this from the female cop perspective.
Yeah, I'm seeing a young female cop, and we can build a quick backstory for her in a second, kind of leading the charge here, but she's younger, newer, and let's just throw her with an old bag of bricks, some washed up
trope as old as time,
right? Checked out, maybe almost retiring. I think that's easy. Cop who's seen everything, because again, this is a huge crime for little old Duval County. got to give it to your most senior detective, and there's only one of those left, and it's only 2 weeks until he's just living on his boat, eating crawdads and, I don't know, falling asleep at noon every day. So let's get him while he's still in his, I won't say prime, but while his heart's still beating.
Before he's done.
Right. And let's pair them up and kind of do a two worlds colliding type thing happening in this younger woman, older guy. Figure this out together.
So Maria...
Okay.
Is our younger female police officer.
Love it.
She's aspiring to move maybe up in the ranks. She's passionate, young. She's a great cop. And the old guy on the force is Mick. Definitely Mick. Probably like Mick's
old Mickey hand grenades, they call
Springsteen.
him. Oh, okay, Mick's. Right.
Some good old cop boy name, a little Irish in there.
Yep. Drinking warm Mickey hand grenades all the time by the pool.
I like the big mouse.
That's right. Goes down quick, goes down smooth. It's 10:30, Mick. You're at work.
I'm always working. I've been on the force for 25 years.
Right. Keeps reminding people that, even though he said 25 years for the past 10. Rounding error. So, okay. I like that. And it could just be that Marie or Maria?
Maria.
Okay,
I like the Spanish influence here.
Perfect. So it could be that Maria isn't even on like the homicide squad yet, and she's maybe doing like Vice or whatever. And we haven't done this yet, but I think it'd be cool to do so, especially in a crime movie or like a cop drama movie, thriller. You almost always have what they call a save the cat scene where you meet the protagonist and immediately doing something that, tells you as the audience, oh, this is a good person. Let's root for them. Cause it's easy to do it. Cause they just did something nice, like saving the cat out of a tree. Hence the name. So let's have Maria. How about this? Maybe Maria has a girlfriend.
Love it. Janelle.
All right, perfect.
Maria
and Janelle, M&J, sitting in a tree.
And Janelle's like almost the alternate ego of Maria. They're both nice people, but Janelle's more polished, typical professional, and Maria is like blue collar.
Right. Okay, like that. Grew up playing in the mud and kind of always wanted to be a cop. I like this. Okay.
4 brothers.
Yep, I see it. I know many Marias. They're awesome. Drink me under the table, but that's not hard to do. Okay, so, and let's say this first scene is something like, how about like, so Janelle, let's have her like be also aspiring to something. So both her and Maria are trying to, better their lives. And maybe she's a bartender now, but going to school to be like a journalist or something.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Okay.
I like that. And they're both kind of involved. Like maybe Janelle not so much, but like Maria wants to bring criminals to justice and Janelle wants to report the news and bring light to
they just want to make Jacksonville a better place.
Can't blame them for that. A lot of work to do.
For the children or whatever. Always think of the children. So maybe this will probably never happen in a real police situation, but this is a movie. Something like Maria's trying to run a sting job on some guy who's jacking cars or selling drugs or whatever, and Janelle's gonna help. And that's the first scene, is they're in Janelle's bar and the guy who's the suspect is in there, and Janelle's got a wire talking to him, and they're trying to get him to say something, admit to something, and Maria's out in the van watching it all happen, but she's kind of freaking out because her girlfriend's in there. But Janelle's cool as a cucumber, not sweating at all, and finally does get this guy's attention, and maybe she's just like trying to, probably buying drugs from him's not enough because they want to really get him on like being a distributor. Let's say it's drugs. That's easy. So she's on like the Vice team at the police station, and And yeah, like maybe they luck out. He's an idiot, and like into the bar brings he has like ecstasy taped all up and down his legs, and it's like 50 pounds
his
of
balls
it.
off.
Right, like,
I taped it too tight.
Right. Been sweating. I'm absorbing a lot of this ecstasy. This bar is amazing, right? The walls taste as good to you as do to me. So this idiot's really having a great time, but they can't get him to say anything. And maybe Janelle and Maria have like a sign, like Maria can see her through like the
She's
scope
watching
or
on the
whatever, or camera,
stuff.
sure, yep. And so not get him to admit that he deals drugs, but Janelle sees like, holy crap, this guy has tons of drugs on him. So she does something like puts her hair up in a bun, or puts her hair up. It looks
Ponytail.
Ponytail. Okay.
Yeah, it's something every girl does
Right.
in the middle of a bartending
right.
shift.
No one would think a second about it, but Maria sees that and is like, go, go, go. Like he must be like strapped to the gills right now with guns or drugs or something. Like we've got him. So they bust down the door and scoop the guy up, and sure enough, it's enough to put him away forever. And a successful sting, and you get to see kind of Maria and Janelle work together, get a bad guy. And maybe afterwards a lot of high fives to Maria, like that's your 5th sting in a row, that was a success, like when are you going for the record? So it's very clear that like Maria's also very good at her job, but like almost as she's receiving those accolades or those high fives and stuff, you can tell she's like, like maybe this will be enough. Will this be enough to get me noticed on Homicide? Like, can I?
I'm gonna put in for it again. Right. They're looking for a new team member.
Perfect, something like that. Yeah, there's an opening. It's got to be me this time. It's got to be my number. And Janelle's like, well, we can't do these much longer anyway. These vice things, soon I'll have to report on them. Can't be part of the story or whatever. So they're both kind of looking past, or trying to look past where they are right now. And at like their future, what they want their future to be. And so she succeeds in part, I think, because Mick is like going to retire soon. So like that's why there's an opening. They're looking for his replacement, and so like now's the time. So she gets it. So it's the beginning of the movie. Everything's coming up Maria. Successful sting. Now she thinks she has her dream job, but does she? And so
she completes this again vice arrest. They book the guy, and for the film I almost want the beginning of that to appear where Maria's not in the van, but it looks like they're just on a date together at the bar.
Okay, that's cool. She's in the bar. I like that. She's also there ready to. That makes more sense. She probably wouldn't let her girlfriend just. She wouldn't be safe in a van, but 80 yards away.
I mean, it's typical cop action, but you'll be fine. We're watching.
Right, we'll be there in a minute.
The move to put her hair up in a ponytail is brilliant. Like, she sees that and she knows, like she doesn't even have to wear a wire. She knows, okay, great.
Now's the time. Right. Maybe she couldn't wear a wire because like this guy's maybe a little smart and like scans people before they buy drugs or whatever.
Yeah, we don't have to. That. Like we're doing this on the fly again here. We don't have to write the whole scene, but I like the bones that you've built there. And we start, like you said, like with a success. Like one, we learn about Maria, our main character. We learn that she's a good cop, and she saved her girlfriend from this criminal. She got the bus, and then maybe like next scene is Maria talking to the chief, and he's like, look, we're gonna try and float you on a homicide case. I'm gonna put you with Mick. She's like, oh my god, I know who Mick is. He's been doing this since I was a kid. He's like, don't say that around Mick.
Right. He's sensitive about his age. Yeah, it's not about anything. Well, he hates how old he is. Right. Okay, I like that. I like this. Okay, cool. So it's kind of like almost like a trial, or like
effectively she's kind of promoted with contingency or something like that. But I mean, I think once you're moved up to homicide, you're pretty much there. But the plan is that she's going to get stuck with Mick, who's been here forever. He's got a lot to teach, but he's also like, what it's like if you get a new job and your manager's on their way out. Like, you don't get the whole story. Right. So this isn't going to be like a welcome to homicide. Here's your full functioning partner. Right. you got put with Mick.
You're put with Mick, who really like is almost the entire homicide department as well. So like there are few options. Now there are a couple other folks in it, but Jacksonville's not that small. But
Harsky and Stutch are busy right now, so.
Off doing something, and so. Yeah, but I like this idea that like maybe she comes in all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and excited, and the chief's like, look, like you got to prove it every day. Like this is a big deal, big shoes to fill. Mick did everything, really, you haven't won anything yet. You got to get out there and show us you can, you're supposed to be on homicide. And this is when all the crimes start, and it should probably be with the guy eating all the women's hearts. And I think like, in order for this to really make sense, maybe when she gets promoted to homicide, it's the day of, or like the day after he like claims his third victim. If you got to think about like if other cop movies have taught me anything, it's like when one horrible murder happens, it's a horrible murder. When a second similar murder happens, well, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe not. But as soon as that third heart comes out of some lady, we've got a serial killer, folks, and it's all hands on deck. So, like, maybe she gets promoted like that day or that day when everyone finds out like it's happened again, making her entrance into homicide like right into the deep end.
You wanted homicide.
Right, like this is
like
it. Get ready to get your hands dirty.
We haven't had a case like this in quite a while. The media's already got a stupid name for him.
Okay, what do you think?
They're calling him the vein vandalizer.
the vein vandalizer.
The artery explorer.
Arsonist. Oh, explorer.
The artery arsonist. Oh, that's a different sort of crime.
Lighting him on fire, right?
They're calling him the blood butcher.
Ooh.
That's got a devious ring to it.
It does.
But the beer we're doing is called Motivations of the Heart. So,
okay. Right. Right. Glad you remembered.
And he's a serial killer. We can't find him.
How about
he's slippery?
Yeah, like I was gonna say, maybe he's not even like leaving a trace at the scene. He's just like that's why it's so perplexing. And maybe another reason why the chief promoted her. Like, I think we can kind of assume throughout this movie, Maria never gets the full picture from people, and which is true in a lot of companies, not just police. True. It's like we tell you what we need to tell you. And as you need to know more, we'll tell you more. We don't need to dump the whole 5-alarm fire bucket on your head as soon as you walk in the door. So like maybe this is a third victim. After the first, they had suspicions. Somebody who cuts the heart out of a woman, probably going to do it again,
Florida.
Right? But maybe didn't eat it out. Wasn't some methed out guy who thought he was having an alligator burger.
Just
and
cut it and took it away with him.
Instead, it was a woman. but Jacksonville Tourism Board is going to love this. So they've been worried about him since the first murder, of course, but like he leaves no trace. So this guy's like almost invisible. So like that's not something you want to tell the press or really other departments of like, this guy's going to be impossible to catch, and he's out there just murdering women and taking their hearts at will. So maybe that leaks to the press somehow, and that influences his name.
Yeah, the press knows that he's taking hearts.
Yeah. And
the press loves alliteration.
They do.
So they start calling him Houdini Heartless.
Ooh, old Harry Houdini.
Can't catch him either. Although
he's dead. Or is he?
True.
His last trick.
Houdini Heartless claims another victim in the Jacksonville city today as the news breaks. Of course, the chief hates this. No police chief wants a fancy named serial killer
They've named him
in his neighborhood.
Right.
And Mick's not taking it well either. The chief says, he's like, your partner's going to be Mick. His office is the first door on your left after you leave here.
Yep.
Go check in with him. You guys
like donuts and cigarettes.
You guys got to hit the streets. And she goes to check on Mick to say, hey, it's me, Maria. I'm your new partner. I got a great track record. But he's not in the office.
Of course.
She looks through some of the case files, and this is like she's done crime,
right?
But now we're looking at like crappy pictures taken by a police picture man. And it's just like a chest cavity cut open, and there's no heart where a heart should be. Not a lot of clues in any of the pictures, but she gets it. Okay, so this happened 3 times.
Yes.
In the last week, maybe. Is a fast-moving serial killer, and her introduction to the homicide squad isn't even here.
First, she's like, oh, I guess I'll just sit down and wait for him. And Chief's like, what are you doing sitting? Like, get up and get out there. And she's like, but Mick's not here. Not my problem. Your problem is your partner. Go find him. And maybe that's like the first, right? So like her first kind of difficulty, her first obstacle is like, actually finding her partner. And it's also probably an opportunity for us as the audience to see like just more of her skills on display, that she's like an excellent detective.
Yeah,
and so
she sees a matchbook that says no. Mick's house is here.
Right, exactly right. She just opens up his address book and looks under H for home and finds out where he lives. None of that. Mick's not an organized guy. It would be that hard. It would be harder to find him, probably on purpose. He'll tell you he's just lazy. He doesn't leave a paper trail because he doesn't have time to do it or doesn't think to do it. But maybe she like sees his like a jacket of his hanging in his office, and she looks at it and kind of maybe sees something on the sleeve or whatever, and then almost like a cut to like a dusty old bar on the dusty side of Jacksonville, and she walks in there, and there's Nick, who in my mind is just Nick Nolte. Like he's just all bagged out and like his skin's been sunburned and suntanned for half a century. Almost looks like he lived on another planet. He got maybe like a fedora and like a half unbuttoned Hawaiian shirt on.
Yes. Vehemently hates sunscreen.
Chain smoking cigarettes. Mick has seen it all and is basically in his mind already almost retired, or so it looks maybe at first glance. And she walks in and like spots him, walks right up to him and goes, "I'm your new partner." And he's like, "New partner? Like, who the hell are you? How'd you find me here? Like, this is my special spot." And she's like, "It was easy. Like, this is the only." Something like, this is the only pool hall in town that still uses white chalk, and it was all over your jacket at the office or something like that.
That's great.
Right? Something. So clearly she's a good sleuth. And Mick's not gonna be able to get rid of this girl quickly, and maybe there's definitely a lot of friction when they first meet, where she's assuming he's like not in it and has written off this case, and she's gonna have to like pull teeth getting him on board. But to Mick's credit a little bit, let's not make him just a dead weight. Like,
no, he's a good cop.
Right. He has tons of experience, and she tries to start jumping into the case, and he's like, whoa, you're forgetting some of the most important stuff. We got to look at this. We got to look at the footage. We got to redo the crime scene. And she's like, okay, all right, well, can we do that? And so, Mick had heard Maria was going to be
the cop.
Right, his new partner. Didn't like it, hid at the bar on purpose, but now maybe he's a little bit more open to it. How quickly she found him, and so some mutual trust there, mutual interest, I guess we'll call it, in each other for at least enough to kind of keep moving him to be like, all right, well, I guess we're doing this together. I'm out of here in 2 weeks. Might as well, teach you a few things while I'm gone. And she's like, well, I could teach you more than you could teach me, or whatever. There's, a nice.
He calls her Poodle because she's maybe Chihuahua, but like she's so gung ho. He's like excited. He's like, leave your poodle energy here at this bar.
I love that. Exactly. Comes in with her shirt tucked in, and that's enough for him to be like, ugh, another uptight partner. Enough of these. I love it. Calls her Poodle. And so now begins kind of like the thick of the movie, where we're going to do all the fun kind of, let's try and find this crazy Harry Houdini, Heartless, whatever, character. And I think it's also a good time to showcase like Mick and Maria's just like different approaches to the world, where he's going to do stuff old school way, like canvass the neighborhood and look at video surveillance and go through the crime scene again and again. And maybe Maria is trying to think about it a little bit differently. Again, she was great at Vice, and she's great because she thinks about stuff in a different way. And So she's following along with Mick, but maybe she tasks some intern to be like, find out if cults are in the area, if any, like, who cuts out hearts of people? Is this some medical student who's bored? Like, is this some
Da Vinci Part 2?
Right? Is this some
Is there a
person
heart
we already know
convention in
about?
town?
There we go. Is there some weird ceremony we don't know about that involves cutting out people's hearts? So she's
People
going
playing D&D.
right, exactly. Intense LARPing happening that's got out of control.
But that's good. Mix your traditional, like, we got to knock on doors, we got to ask questions, we got to get the story from the neighborhood, and she wants to bring a little bit of her success with her.
Exactly, and it could be great where she goes with them all day and like basically just hits dead end after dead end after dead end, and they walk back into the department kind of defeated, and then the intern runs up to her and it's like, all right, here's what I got for you. Mick's like, who's this guy? What's happening here? And he lays out all this printed material and some books, and right away starts going through like, no cults, no LARPing convention, no surgical student who's we know about that's run amok, no one's drinking blood on purpose that we're aware of. Yeah. And he's like, but how about this? He's like, but we found something. We did find something of interest that came up a couple times, of this guy called
Hootsie, the Aztec god of the sun and war, and it's a longer name because it's an Aztec name. It was like Hootsie Chilipoto or something like that. But
nailed it.
He's Hootsie was the way that Aztec warriors would win the war is they would chop out someone's heart and sacrifice it to Hootsie because he would eat it and then grow stronger.
Yep.
And he's like, that's like the intern now is using that to say, there's a line here. I mean, there's not a whole lot of heart. He's like, I looked at Polish vampires. I looked at Russian traditions and Russian mobs.
Yes.
He's like, of all the Googling I could do, this is like, this is
right.
Sounds like your guy might be familiar with Aztec culture.
Yep. Yeah. And maybe like, and maybe something pops up at this point where it's like, there's even a woman coming to town who's an expert in a couple weeks. She's going to give a talk about it. So it's showing up more and more. Maybe one of her fans got to town early or something. So there's not much there, but it's something. And they can kind of hold on to that. But let's just hit them with curveball after curveball, because this guy's killing like someone, I don't know, every other day or at least once a week. And they can't be like living. And this is like, in my mind, looking at the books and the printouts and stuff, this is like that cool scene like Indiana Jones and all the movies where you're like learning the backstory of what will be important in the rest of the movie. We're in a library or something. It can be cool, but that's all cut short by the news that another victim has shown up just in their apartment, I guess, with their heart missing, and Houdini Heartless has struck again. So they gotta throw the books away and be like, what are we doing in a library here? Like, the cheat's gonna kill us. We gotta get out there and find this person. But thanks, intern dude. We'll see if this turns into anything. And maybe they're both kind of writing it off, and they both think they're at dead ends. And now, no, it doesn't matter. Fourth victim's shown up.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to track down an Aztec sun god here at the library, or hopefully not in Jacksonville either.
Right, not in the phone book. Can't Google them. So let's see. They probably need a win. They probably need a break in the case. They probably need like something to go their way. So let's just say that. Ooh, and actually, this could be interesting later. Let's say that, so fourth victim's claimed, and for the first time, it looks like Houdini Heartless has messed up.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so every once in a while, and maybe that's what Mick's been saying the whole time. That's like his mantra, and really how he solved a lot of his cases. Like, they all mess up. It only takes a matter of time, a fingernail, a piece of hair, a boot print, we'll get them.
And that's her poodle energy coming off. He's like, sometimes you got to wait for them to make a mistake.
Exactly right.
And she's like, we don't need another body on our hands.
Right. And he's like, so if you got any other ideas, and then reading all these old books, I'm open to it. We're not going to find him down in the basement of this library. Right. But so they're gonna catch a break. He'll mess up, and maybe it's like a great mess up. Like he like drops a key card to Marina, Jacksonville. So Marina,
Yeah.
and they're like, holy crap, maybe this guy has a boat, lives on a boat, something, and it's near a crime scene. So they're like, let's do it. And then maybe they go back to some footage of like a bar or a club that one of the victims left from, and there's like, now they're noticing like, all right, there's a hooded figure in the corner with a backpack on, can't see their face, but as they follow the woman out the door, you got like boat shoes on or something like that. So now there's like enough other evidence to be like maybe something to the
Maria
marina.
mentions that
Okay.
because they were watching footage in Mick's old school cop montage.
All right.
And he sees this and he's like, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do with a marina card. Like there's 1,000 boats at the whatever. But then Maria's like, well, when we were watching the footage, the guy who was running, he was walking like he had a funny gait and he was wearing boat shoes. So again, a chance for Maria
Yes.
to shine
To
a little
show
bit.
that she can see things and think about things that people
You didn't
can't.
catch Mick.
That's right, Mick, you old dusty old stump of a man. All right, so
Again, not against Mick. Mick's a good cop.
Mick's a good guy. We're gonna see it right now. How about this? So now we get a fun kind of cop raid scene where they're getting all the armored cars and the SWAT team and stuff into the marina, and it's a whole marina. It's just a key card to like get in the gate. There's 100 boats in there or whatever. And so they're right now just looking around and talking to people, and one kind of dirtier, shadier, maybe not as fancy looking boat.
It's a
towards the-
live-in boat.
Someone's
not
living
an
here.
ocean boat.
Right, and maybe that's what Maria does. She's like, who's coming? Who's like hooked up and using the most water and hasn't asked for gas in a couple weeks, and only these 5. Like that guy's been here for a month and a half or whatever. Something like that, where like it's kind of obvious that they've been there for a while, or most of the people are taking the boat out a lot. So that's helpful. Narrows it down. Peeks in one of the boats, and it's like all disheveled and stuff in there, and it's a stretch, but they get a warrant somehow. We can figure that out in the movie. And so they're ready to bust this thing down, and maybe like as they're getting up to it, like Mick is in the lead with his old 6-shooter out. As he gets to the door, he's like, wait. As like Maria's about to kick it down because he sees through like the window a tripwire on the door, and so they kind of crack it open and cut it, and like a bunch of old like spikes fall down, like an old school booby trap was inside this boat.
Nice. I like this.
Right. And so you're not what you expect. Not a bomb, not a grenade, not something else. It's
Like a jungle trap.
Like a jungle trap, like something maybe the Aztecs would have used. So perhaps now there's something to all this, the book, fancy book learning in the basement. Now, okay, so they get in there, get in the boat, and it's like a crazy person boat. Like there's just blood on the walls. There's a bunch of goofy.
It's a crazy person boat.
Imagine, you can all see it with me. Unkept clothes. The sheets are old. No, there's real cuckoo. Let's have it be like a bunch of weird writing on the wall. A bunch of Aztec. Now there's like confirming there a little bit. A bunch of pictures of
the intern
Hootsie,
was right.
Hootsie, whatever.
And there's also it looks like this is the home of our Houdini Heartless killer.
Yes.
And in here, so you see all these scribblings all over the wall, and but at some point Maria sees like multiples of pill bottles,
Right.
prescription pill bottles, but it doesn't seem like this is a drug abuse case. Like in fact, it's the opposite.
Right. She knows.
These are prescribed to help control hallucination, like schizophrenia.
Ooh, yes.
So and at this point, as the audience, you should be certain we're looking at the boat where this killer lives. It's a schizophrenic person that's obsessed with Hootsie the Aztec god, and there's a tie-in to sacrificing hearts to accomplish something.
Right. And maybe it's like kind of becomes even clearer on the wall. Like a bunch of the writings say things like, you know, the next one will free me, or, you know, the medicine isn't working anymore.
Like he's skipped Western medicine and he's gone right to sacrificing hearts by eating them to cure himself.
Like,
this is what he believes.
Like, I think this guy has convinced himself that like he's either is Hootsie, or the power that Hootsie got from hearts will cure him as well and stop the voices, and, you know, yada yada yada. So like so now we have a little bit of a motivation, and they're also terrified as the audience of like, well, this person hasn't been caught, is super careful, and is like determined and convinced that like cutting people's hearts out is good and going to help him.
And Mick says the only difference between a genius and a schizophrenic is what they do with their time.
Yes. An all-time Mick line. I can see that'll be the line that gets Nick Nolte to do the movie. If we tell him that he gets to say that, he'll be like, all right, sign me up. Oh, I love this. Okay, so, and then maybe it ends.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You mentioned the lady coming to town already, right? The Hootsie seminar.
Expert, yes. So I think that's how, like, they're again sorting for evidence, looking through all kinds of things in this boat, and then like pinned up on the wall, like circled in blood or something, is like the same seminar that the intern found earlier. It's a picture of the woman who's giving it. At like the local college or whatever, like tonight, let's say, let's make this all happening right now, which is fun. And so Maria's like, holy crap, this is the target. Like, he must think that because she knows tons about Hootsie and his schizophrenic episode mind is like, her heart will be the one that like that cures me. This is his next target. And so they immediately need to make sure this woman is safe and secure and all that stuff. So we get like a fun kind of rushing to her hotel type scene, and
there's probably an intermission scene here, something in the middle where like Mick says like, are you sure you want to tell this lady about our potential serial killer? Maybe it'll scare her away from doing it, and she's like, no, I think we owe it to her as humans,
right?
But there's like you see a little bit of
back and forth, different approaches, different schools of thought, and Maria's super confident, and Mick's like, well, you know, you may blow it too if you tell her, like, we can set a sting up and grab this guy before he even, you know, steps foot in the same room as her. If we have enough guys there, like, she never needs to know. And she's like, no, like, we need to get her involved in case it goes south. Like, I want her knowing what she's actually walking into. And so I like that. So they confront her, and luckily she's like, I'll be your bait, or like whatever. She's like, okay, I understand. Like, if I go through with the speech, like, this can stop this guy. And yeah, but maybe, oh boy, like,
I think she agrees to it. This Aztec studied professor.
Yes.
She initially agrees to it under the pressure, but then either she gets a phone call from her kids at home or something like that, and maybe an hour or so before she's supposed to leave, it makes like, we got protection. Yeah. And she's like, I can't go through with it knowing the something like this could happen.
Perfect.
Could you please get me an escort to the airport? I need to go back to LA with my family where it's safe.
Love it. Yeah. So she bails, she caves. This is perfect. So Maria thinks like, awesome, I'm gonna do another sting. I'm the best at stings. Like, I'm gonna get another notch to my sting belt. And it all falls apart. And so they're almost at square one. And also this, she's just like frustrated. Like, we had a lead, we had a target, we could have gotten this guy. Like, obviously a big deal. Like, could have been right there, and they could have ended this tonight. And now the one person who could help them, it's just like, it's not worth the risk. Like, what if you're wrong?
Maria's like, I can call Janelle and see if she'll pretend to be the professor.
Like, stop playing dress up with your girlfriend. She has a job, you have a job. It's not this. We're not going to get them wearing masks and costumes. The chief comes down hard on that. And speaking of Janelle, maybe this could be like a good time to introduce like a subplot to it, because there probably needs to build some stakes and tension and stuff, like a little more to their relationship between Maria and Janelle than we have already, and maybe like they're either trying to buy a house or like adopt a baby, something like that. And like all of Maria's work in this case, she's like late to meetings or
especially
checked
with
out.
this seminar wasn't happening until late tonight. She's already been at work all day.
Right.
She had to cancel plans with Janelle to do the sting, and the sting didn't even happen.
Right.
And the adoption, which I like adoption better than buying a home. It's like something a little bit more altruistic and makes them save more cats.
Save more cats.
But Janelle's probably getting kind of upset as the spouse of any overworked person would. Like, you know, what you moved up to homicide, that was great, but all I hear is Mick, I never see you anymore.
That's exactly right. It's different than Vice. Homicide's the real deal, crazy case, and like all of a sudden, Janelle's tone changes, and rightfully so. Like, girlfriend's never around, and you know, maybe Maria picks up on it. It's like, all right, like you're right. Like I've been distant, I've been late all the time. Like let's have like I'll slow down. I'll take more time for us. I won't miss the next meeting. And maybe even Janelle's like, this probably isn't the right time for adoption. Like if this is what your life is now, this is different than you were on the Vice team. Like homicide, you never come home. Maybe this isn't right. And Maria tries to talk Janelle off that ledge and invites Mick over to dinner maybe that night. Like let's meet my new partner. You know, he's an older guy, but he's fun and funny. And, you know, I won't be at the office tonight. We can hang out here, no work. We'll just have fun. And so Mick comes over for dinner, and Janelle and Maria get all dressed up.
He
and it's a
brings
good
some
time.
beers.
Brings a bunch of beers. They're ready to pop some wine. And how about this? Maybe, you know, Janelle and Maria in the kitchen getting stuff together, and Mick sits down and they're like, pour yourself a glass of wine if you want. And he's like, yeah, there's an open one here. Is that cool? And they're both kind of like, yeah, I don't remember opening anything, but that's fine. If it's got the cork in it still, as long as it doesn't taste gross, like go for it. Starts having some wine, and they sit down and have a nice dinner, but something's wrong with that wine. And Mick was the only person that had it and has like a heart attack or something, like has a emergency. Something happens to him.
Mick's allergic to wine, but he didn't know it till now. This is the first time I've ever had this.
Right. There's grapes in this.
Maria and Janelle are in the kitchen finishing up the empanadas or in the dinner and stuff. And Mick's like, I'm just gonna drink some of this one. It's already open. Like, cool, help yourself.
Right.
Mick pours himself a glass of wine. The girls are getting dinner ready, and like, oh, we'll be out in a second. And then you just hear like a struggle in the other room. And Maria's like, can you go check on Mick and just make sure he's okay? Maybe he doesn't know where the wine glasses are.
Right.
Janelle goes to check. She's like, oh my God, I think he's having a heart attack.
Yes. Perfect. So they rush to the hospital with him. They all go with him. To make sure he's okay, obviously. So, all right, perfect. I like that. So we're building up a little bit of the backstory between Janelle and Maria. Mick's involved. We're all humans having dinner, but then shit goes wrong. So they were getting a lot of wins in a row, and now failed sting. Mick's allergic to wine or whatever. Mick's an idiot. And we're at the hospital, which is not where they need to be. They need to be like sleeping for 2 hours and then going and hunting down the Houdini heart thief, the heartless.
I mean, we assumed that he planned on eating another heart after the convention tonight.
Yes, exactly. Like
we assume he's probably already got. You know, maybe if I can't have that heart, I at least need another so I can keep sacrificing to Hootsy and get my condition cured.
Right.
Mick is this like unplanned divergence where he's having a heart attack. We gotta get him to the hospital.
Ooh.
So then they get Mick to the hospital. They get him in there, and now it's the three of us. The doctor's like, all right, we don't think it's a heart attack. We're gonna run some tests, hang out here, and they're trying to mix dinner conversation with Mick would take care of your body. You're old. You're going to retire. And it's just kind of like, I guess, like an awkward moment between really three brand new friends, as close as we can call it.
Right.
But I think this hospital trip is like a red herring, like it needs to
Yeah.
lead to something else, like maybe the doctor is the killer. I don't know where we go, but
Well, I think what it is like another way to, it becomes a device to kind of separate everybody now. So like, how about this? So it should be Mick and Maria hunting down this guy, but now Mick's like, laying down in the hospital bed, and maybe Maria gets a call like, we got him, like he spotted downtown, we got Houdini, he's running, it's the same hoodie and backpack and the shoes, and someone saw him outside a club and recognized him from the posters or whatever, and he split. And Maria's like, I gotta go, and Mick's like trying to pull the IV out of his arm, and like
I'm coming with you, kid.
oxygen out of his nose, like let's go. And he stands up and kind of gets lightheaded and sits back down, and Maria's like, I've got this, I'll be fine, like stay here. And Janelle's like, I'll stay with him. And Maria's like, okay, great. And things seem good with Maria and Janelle after the dinner and taking care of Mick and blah blah. Now we get to have a fun kind of chase scene in downtown Jacksonville, where we're running around trying to get a guy in boat shoes and a hoodie.
I love this.
No pants, apparently.
Just boat shoes and hoodie.
Boat shoes and hoodie with a
He's
backpack.
Unmedicated schizophrenic,
Right, he
just
definitely
eating
has
people's
no
hearts.
pants.
He may not have pants on. He might be carrying a surgical scalpel. But he's booking Maria. So I like this. Maria gets the call. She gets in the car. She's like, you were only like 5 minutes away. They said he was outside of Jacksonville Heaters dive bar. I don't even know, with some dive bar near the stadium.
Yep.
So she runs, and she's driving up and down the grid on the block. She's calling the boys on the street. She's like, and somebody's like, I saw someone running near 22nd Street.
Yep.
Bolts down there, sees someone making tracks, and tries to follow in the car. But as every cop knows, your car's not as fast as you are.
Right.
So she just parks the car in the middle of the street, gets out of the car, and starts running to chase this guy. And they're going. He cuts into like a little creepy hookah bar, and they bolt through there and knock over a hookah. This would be a fun scene to film with a huge budget.
Yes, exactly. Jumping over fences in the backyards, dogs are barking at them both, and she loses a shoe maybe or whatever, knocks over a hot dog cart as they run down near the pier. Yeah, so just a fun kind of zigzaggy chase scene. And what do you think? Yeah.
She sees, I love this. I've been to Jacksonville once in my life. Right. She sees a crowd outside of a sports bar wearing Jaguars jerseys.
Sure.
And she yells, Duval, which is like the chant for, I think, Jacksonville fans.
Yep.
And the Jaguars guys like all start chanting it back, and she says, stop that guy. So like the football team fans like just like form a line and just check that guy, bounces off her onto the sidewalk.
Yes.
She runs up and starts to handcuff him.
But how about this? Ready? This is all twists and turns all the way down now, folks. So we're gonna try. We're gonna until we twist our heads off, twist our brains out of our head. So
it's going good,
right? Let's do some zigs and some zags. So it's not the guy. He like is like a kid. They like the guy. All the football fans unpile off of him, and he's just out of breath, kind of young, palish kid who's trying to catch his breath. And Maria's handcuffing him, and he's like, "No, like it's what are you doing? Like, please, you don't understand." And she like looks in his bag, and it's like a school bag with like books and an old bag of lunch or whatever. And she flips him over and looks at him closer, and he's like a younger kid. And she's like, "What are you doing? Like, who are you? What's going on here?" And he's like, "I don't know. Some guy paid me $1,000 to put on these clothes and to run downtown is towards the bridge or whatever." And she was like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?" And he's like, "Yeah, Craigslist ad. I responded to it. It was all sitting for me at a park bench and $1,000. Like, I go to school." And she was like, "What did he say exactly? What was said?" And she was like, he's like, nothing. And then she's like, "Come on, you must remember something." And she's like, "Well, there was one note that all it said was run towards the bridge as far away from the hospital as possible." And she's like, "The hospital?"
Yes.
So this is like so now zooming out, like maybe the Harry Houdini, the Houdini heartless guy is like. Keep on Harry Houdini.
That's an actual. He's an actual magician. Harry Houdini has nothing.
Harry Houdini's ghost.
He was a good, I think, man.
Yeah, and so Houdini Heartless has planned a lot of this. Like maybe he snuck into their apartment. Like he's been hunting Maria and Janelle, maybe because they were hunting her. Maybe for another reason. We'll figure that out in a little bit, but. Like poisoned mixed wine or the wine bottle.
He thought he was
poisoning them all, but Mick took the brunt of it.
Two hearts are better than one. He thought he was getting Janelle
there you
and
go.
Maria.
Okay, perfect.
Well, yeah, because it would make sense. Janelle was a bartender, so he probably saw her at some point.
Around, and again, not a huge city. If this guy's cruising clubs, definitely saw Janelle, but. So it now she's like, oh crap, this was like a distraction to get me probably away from the hospital. Like everyone else might be in trouble. I gotta get back there, and tries her phone. Maybe it's dead or broke when she jumped through the hot dog stand or whatever. Like doesn't have an easy way of calling Janelle and Mick, so she's got to get back there. Payphones don't exist anymore. Good job, everyone. You've just killed Janelle and Mick because payphones are gone.
They might exist in Jacksonville, but she can't get through to anyone.
Right.
Her phone broke on the hot dog cart.
Yeah, and maybe like at the same time this is all happening, like Janelle and Mick are hanging out, and Janelle says something like, maybe Mick's looking through like some of the notes or the scanned pictures of the book that he has with him, trying to see if there's any clues to help close this case down, and it makes sense of all the stuff they saw on the boat while waiting to hear from Maria, and Janelle looks over and is like, I saw like that guy, that little man in that coin in that picture. Someone tried to pay with a coin like that at the bar the other day. And Mick's like, what are you talking about? This is ancient Aztec gold. Like this shouldn't be around anymore. And she was like, yeah, Aztec, that's right.
Yes,
right. Like
she's got like a Aztec tattoo sleeve, as any proper Jacksonville female bartender would.
Exactly. All right, I love that. So like, and she was like, yeah, he pointed out my tattoo and everything. Nice guy. And now Mick is like, oh shit,
he knew more about my tattoo than I did.
There you go. So Mick is like realizing also, like, oh crap, Janelle has been picked as the next target. Like she's always been the target, and maybe at this like exact moment, even before Mick can get everything out of his mouth, like you hear a small commotion, not much, just kind of a in the hall outside of their room, which you would think with Mick being a police officer who possibly was poisoned, had a heart attack, we don't know, has some guards out there, and they kind of slump over in their chair as a guy dressed as a nurse walks in. And Janelle and Mick are like, what's going on? What's happening? And before they can even realize anything, the guy pulls out a gun, the nurse, and is like, all right, like I found you, like you know what's gonna happen next. Took me long enough. Like it should have been you in that stretcher, Janelle, but this old guy got in the way or whatever. It says something.
Would have been so much easier if you just drank the wine like you should have.
And she's like, holy crap. And so this will be a fun kind of evil guy monologue moment for old Houdini Heartless, where he's talking about the voices in his head and the hearts will make him stop, and he's Hootsie or Hootsy's chosen him or whatever.
He's kind of like, I love this scene. I want there to be a really good actor to play this guy. I can't think of who it is right now. I want it to be the kid from Breaking Bad, Jesse.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah.
He's kind of like you can see him like he wants to give this evil monologue, but then he's also like arguing with himself a little bit.
Yeah, off his meds for a long time and not well.
But he kind of, so this nurse right now, me as the audience, I'm thinking this is Heartless Houdini.
Yeah.
And he starts to reveal a little bit about how these hearts are how he's going to cure himself.
Yes, exactly.
In his evil monologue.
Yep, and he's got the gun on both of them, so Mick can't do anything, can't hit the nurse button. Like, they're just both frozen there. Like, what the heck's gonna happen next? What's this guy talking about? How do we negotiate with someone who's like insane? Like, what are we gonna do here?
Mick's like, I've already been through 4 marriages. I got this.
Let me take the reins. I just pulled my gun out. That worked in 3 of them. And then how about this? So, like, obviously Maria's rushing back, so like she could get there, but from her perspective, kind of walking into the room, it just looks like a nurse is there at the end of the bed, maybe looking at Mick's chart or something. What do you got? What do you got?
Yup.
What do you got? What do you got?
Yup. Yup. It's a
What do you got?
callback.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
So Maria is looking through the door. The police officers would give it away. So the police officers have been removed,
Okay.
or they look like they're sleeping.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
she's not concerned with that.
Right,
She walks
good
right
call.
up. She looks through the door. She sees a nurse talking to Mick, and she sees Janelle there. And then Janelle makes eye contact through the window and
Yes.
sees Maria.
Okay.
And Janelle reaches up, grabs from her wrist a little hair thing, and puts her hair up in a ponytail. And Maria sees this, and it's a callback to the opening scene.
That's it. The call, the sign, the tell, Janelle's tell of like danger, danger, or whatever that they use in this sting in the beginning. Love that. So, right, okay, perfect. So then Maria sees that, and then maybe like looks in closer, and like the reflection in the window, the outside window of the hospital room can see that the nurse has a gun, and so she jumps in there. And like is able to like subdue this dude pretty quickly. However, she does it, karate chop or the 5-finger.
Yeah, he's in the middle of his monologue. He's arguing with himself a little bit more.
He's got voices in his head.
Then the door she prison kicks the door open, hits him kind of reckless. His arm flies up that's holding the gun.
Okay.
She tackles him much better than she did with the youngster downtown in Jacksonville. Quickly tackles him and handcuffs him.
Sure. And I mean, maybe like, I don't know if this will work or not, but like maybe goes to handcuff him, and he's like, and he maybe says something like, as he's kind of trying to break free, not handcuffed yet, but it's like, it says something like, it's not just me, or like, you'll never believe everything I got to tell you, but you better listen. And he starts kind of he's still rambling. We don't know if he's telling the truth or just rambling about crap. And as he's kind of like breaking his arm free and saying like, I got something you want to hear to Maria, and like looks up towards Mick like pulls a gun out of his boot and like shoots him.
The
and
old
like,
6-shooter.
Shit. And in the moment, like as it happens for the audience, the old trusty 6-shooter hidden in his sweaty sock, still somehow fires. But as the audience, it all happens. It needs to happen like so quick where it's like, it looks like the guy's just trying to break free and Mick shoots him because he didn't have a chance. Meanwhile, it's very clear he was trying to say something.
You have to listen to what Hootsie has been telling me.
Right.
Like he's an actual certifiable crazy person that's killing people and eating their hearts.
Exactly.
And he's making a reach for something.
Right, for something. Could be a knife, could be another gun.
Mick, of course, even though she's brand new, he's going to cover his partner.
Yep.
And he busts a cap.
Busts a cap, as the kids say.
In our incognito nurse serial killer.
And so that's it. So we got him, or so we think. We're celebrating that he's caught and dead, and Janelle's okay, and Mick's heart's now he's having another heart attack. No, he's fine. But how about this? Let's slip this in and see what this is gonna jive with everybody. Maybe like at the end, as they're talking about all this crazy stuff that just happened to Maria with the chase and the Houdini Heartless is in the room.
Can't believe he was here the whole time.
Exactly right. Maybe Mick says something like I can't believe this dude paid that kid $1,000 just to run that through downtown, and they all kind of laugh, and then Maria's like, wait a second, like $1,000, like I didn't tell you how much he got paid. And like Mick starts to sweat a little bit, and there's like how about this? There could be another flashback to like the white chalk that was on Mick's coat that led her to his secret hideaway bar. Maybe there was some of that same kind of white chalk residue in the houseboat or something. So like it's enough.
Like this.
Right, it's enough for Maria to be like, oh shit, like Mick is in on it.
In the movie, this would happen in a quick couple of series of flashes.
Yes,
where you see the chalk in the houseboat. Maybe when they're looking through the Aztec stuff, Mick's like, oh no, Hootsie never had a wife. That wouldn't matter. Like it doesn't matter when you watch it the first time in the movie.
Yeah.
But during this quick flashback scene, we get a picture through Maria's eyes that paints Mick as, obviously he wasn't the killer, but he was in on this.
Part of it, maybe like the heartless Houdini was his son, and it could be right. It could be like he wasn't the killer. Obviously, that just happened, but more like, it was a Pandora's box, and I helped open it, and I'm just trying to contain him, but we got too much a couple weeks ago, and he's was convinced this would save him, and I don't know. I got 2 weeks till I'm done. Like, figures to be somebody else's problem, or we go away together. If I could just make it a few more weeks, I'd get him out of the country and be somebody else's problem or whatever. And he's kind of like rambling on about this stuff, but we have to remember, like, Mick's like about to retire or like have a parade in his honor or whatever. So he's right away is like, but like, you got to forget about this. Like, no one's going to believe you anyway. Like, trying to do you a solid here, like, partner, like trying to like win Maria over with his,
I'm a legend.
Right, exactly. Like, no one's gonna believe you. If I shot you in the street tomorrow, they'd throw me a parade next Tuesday. Like, he thinks he's untouchable.
I'm untouchable. I'm retiring, and I can help you out.
Right,
because you want a homicide.
Right.
I can give you. I can tell the chief.
Yes.
You get my caseload. You're the best cop I've ever worked with. We solved the crime together.
Yep. And he's like,
you did. You got the killer.
Right. You just got to forget about this. Like, at the end of the day, I didn't do anything wrong, and I just had to help somebody in need. But that doesn't. No one's gonna believe you anyway. So you might as well forget. Trust me, something I learned on this job over many years is sometimes you just gotta forget. Or we have some stupid, old timer wisdom that's not wisdom at all.
And of course, how does he get caught?
Yep. Who's the
Janelle, our future reporter?
Okay. Yeah. What do we got?
Janelle. Maybe we'll retcon and back at some point. We see Janelle saying, like, I'm always recording. I always like to catch the story, even if I'm not actually a journalist yet. And then you hear from Janelle's pocket, I could shoot you in the street and they'd throw me a parade.
Right, she plays
she just says, she's like,
classic.
I've got your whole confession on tape, Mick. You're going down.
Classic, the old recorder in the pocket routine. Worked for Kevin McAllister, can work for Janelle and save the day. And it could end with, at this point, it almost doesn't matter. Maybe Mick decides to go down in a blaze of glory and tries to draw quickly and Maria shoots him. Maybe he just goes to jail. No houseboat parties for him. We can tie that up a couple of different ways. But I like that once again, Maria and Janelle stronger together, making a difference in little old Jacksonville. A little bit safer today than it was yesterday.
This morning.
Right.
Yeah. I like that. I like at the end there was, I don't even know how many twists.
A lot of twists. You need them in these thrillers. It needs to be so many twists you want to throw up.
The chase scene, getting the kid, going back to the hospital, seeing the nurse, seeing the sign from Janelle, stopping the nurse, thinking you've won, realizing that Mick's been involved, and then thinking, well, what am I going to do? Am I just going to have to accept this and lay down? And then Janelle comes through again.
Yep.
And I like the idea kind of leaving it open. I think what would make me happiest in an ending is Mick pulls his gun out. It's a revolver.
Yes. Okay.
He's already, somehow we retcon this again, and he's already fired his all 6 shots. So he pulls the gun on her, and he's like, well, no one's going to believe you if you're dead. I solved this case. Click. And then Maria cuffs him, and her first collar as a homicide detective is taking down the Heartless Houdini and his collaborator who used to be a hero on the force.
That's right. Ooh, I love that. And then, wow, cool. This is it. I think we've done it, John. We have the whole shebang, as they call it these days, for Motivations of the Heart, a crime thriller in the wet, heat-filled city of Jacksonville, down old Florida way. Whew. Oh my God! All right, yeah, a lot of red herrings, a lot of twists, a lot of turns at the end there. Hopefully, we didn't lose too many people out the back of the station wagon.
Yeah, I think that one flowed okay. Again, I like the mystery. We'll come back next week and we'll tell you what we think we could have done
we'll
better.
Absorb it.
In the meantime, if you think we could have done something better, more interesting, or if you're from Jacksonville and you want to yell at us,
Yes.
do it on YouTube or Instagram. We check that all the time.
That's
done?
it. We can be done for the night. We're going to have one more sip of the old boozeroo. So until next time, everybody, peace,
Peace, punch, and give me your lunch.